Hi!
Hi! How
Hello?
are you? Hello! Welcome back to
Film Critters!
Film Critters Purposes.
Yeah, we're here today to talk about a bit of a controversial flick. This one's for the girls.
We finally, girls have their, what would be like sub Lars von Trier?
Oh god. I mean, it feels like, I don't know, it's like Fight Club for girls. That's like,
Joker
kind of-
for girls, yeah.
Yeah,
Joker,
girl
Joker
Joker.
for her. Joke, comma, her, if you
Oh
will.
my god. Yeah, we watched Promising Young Woman, which promised a lot.
A lot. And delivered very little.
Delivered something. Yeah, I guess just to kind of start us off. Hey Jay, what'd you think of the movie?
I've said this before. It takes a lot for a movie to be like something that I like hate.
Oh yeah.
And this hits like all of the marks in that it's the rare film where the like actual like political or like the actual real world politics of the film disgust me. The
Yes.
politics within the film disgust me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like really just wasted, squandered possibilities and potential, which like always pisses me off in a movie that has like all that could have been so much better. And it's also just got a really annoying media environment around it. It just hits like all the things I hate about movies, and like it takes a lot. A movie has to be like not evil, but like evil in a really banal way for me to be disgusted by it.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we kind of have a lot on our plate today because there's like not only, the film is certainly making waves on its own, but there's kind of some context around the film to go into. But yeah, I'm functionally on the same page. I kind of think that this is evil, an evil movie that should not have been made. And I would say my reasoning for that is we can kind of start off with the actual content of the film. Don't really know. So obviously, as we all know, it's kind of a rape revenge. It's about a woman who pretends to be really, really drunk, and then she goes home with guys, and then she kind of harangues them. And I kind of thought it was going to be more murdery.
Yeah, I said this on Letterboxd. She should have been more evil. Like she should have been more murdery. Like that was the problem. Like first off, right out the gate, that was my problem. Was that she was like fucking candid camera MTV's Gotcha. Like fucking like which the structure of like the way that those happen, like really criminally does not seem to understand the imagery and psychology of the things it's playing with, because it's like, aha, you thought I was drunk, but I'm not. I bet you don't want to have sex with me anymore. And it's like, I think if a guy, even if a super creepy predatory guy was in that situation, I still think you'd be like, I mean, do you want to have sex?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the whole thing where it's just like, where it kind of sets itself up as this, like Miss 45 kind of thing, and then it's just, oh, look over there, oh, you're on punks, blah, I'm not drunk, I'm an actress or whatever.
I tricked you.
It's so lip-dicked, it's so fucking pointless, and it's, obviously, so there's kind of an ethos that the director kind of, had talked about, that Emerald Fennell, the director, had kind of talked about, where it's like, oh, I'm not going to make some candy-coated, like, rape revenge where she's, like, where everything works out, and she's, like, she does a great job, and she's safe from men because you're never going to be safe around men or whatever, which is fine. I applaud the sort of thought process there of kind of at least wanting to be a little bit deconstructivist. The problem is we kind of it's not a good movie.
The problem is she kind of is safe. Like, that was the thing about those scenes that made no sense to me, is that she's always like, and the director is like I wanted it to be like she's so powerful, like she takes the power back in these situations, and it's like she doesn't.
Does she?
She like
doesn't.
You within the universe of your film, you basically create a situation in which the thing that men think, which is that women have all the power and control in these situations and can stop it anytime they want, is true. Like, you literally created a world in which that is true and that it happens repeatedly.
Oh my god. Yeah, so there's this weird effect where for a rape revenge like thriller that's, supposed to be feminist, there is so much rape apologia. Apologia. How the fuck do you pronounce that? Basically, the film is like, oh, but it's actually, it's not that bad. Case in point, there are several scenes where the main character is like, basically is like, for one example, she encounters like a college like counselor or something like that, and she's like, "Oh well, if you don't have a problem with rape on your campus, then I guess you don't have a problem with the fact that I have left your daughter alone with a bunch of boys, a bunch of frat boys. Well, I'm crazy. I'm so fucked up," which is so unbelievably cynical and disgusting to me. The same thing also happens during another scene where she confronts one of the people who didn't believe her when her was it her fucking friend or sister?
Literally just her friend. Just like her friend who, by the way, in a film that is a feminist deconstruction of the rape revenge genre, is a rape victim who literally is not in the film.
Because she's dead.
Because she's dead. We don't even get flashbacks with her. We don't hear anything about her. We just hear Carey Mulligan's opinion of her.
Yeah, exactly.
Which in a better film would be a very smart comment. Does not seem to have been a thing that was thought out much in this film.
For real. It's unbelievably frustrating. So there's that. And there's also the kind of obvious elephant in the room tastelessness of calling the film Promising Young Woman, which is of course a reference to Brock Turner, a real life thing that had real life victims, and is real life traumatizing to real life a lot of people. But that's just kind of the territory, I guess.
It's especially disgusting because, like, I'm double checking this to make sure that I have the right case, because unfortunately there are so many cases like Brock Turner. But it's also disgusting because it's like, obviously appropriating that, like everything around that. And then the sexual assault at the heart of the film is like a is literally the like rape culture constructs of like, this is what is rape, everything else is not.
Yeah. It's
because the thing at the heart of it is like literally that she was gang raped at a party and everybody stood around and laughed at it. But it's like, those aren't the kind of incidents that are like particularly common in most cases of like sexual violence that women experience or that anyone experiences, and B, are usually not the ones that get like lesser sentences for the men because they're promising young men. Like the Brock Turner incident was a very specific setting and set. The film kind of approaches with the use of like college and alcohol, but then it heightens it to a level that is very much so just like, oh, what was the actual case not believable enough for your film? Like, is that what you're gonna get?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just super cynical.
Just really disgustingly using the imagery and the actual sexual violence that a real person who is like 23, like not even like that long ago of an incident, like a very young person still, to tell a movie that does not really have anything important to say about its subject matter. And like that scene with the counselor is so unreal too, because it's like I left them with boys. And it's like, if you're trying to construct the argument that this counselor like the scene seems to be implying that the counselor like knows that all of the college boys on her campus are rapists. Like, I don't know, like I don't get why the implication wouldn't be like, oh, well, my daughter will tell them that she's 17 and they won't have sex with her because that will be a felony.
Right. Which, like, yeah, it's just kind of such a half-assed statement, and it's definitely one of those kind of second-wavy movies where it's just like, boys, right? Ladies? Blah, which is, like, not super helpful in kind of deconstructing the sort of, like, pervasiveness and structures around rape.
Also, kind of ends up recreating the rape culture argument that, like, boys will be boys, and that it presents this world in which, like, all men do this.
Exactly. Yeah, for real. Which is more permissive. Like, it's, you know, and I struggle to kind of recognize how people don't see that, but you know, whatever. That's kind of the frustration with this movie.
Because, like, yeah, like the film doesn't present any of the perpetrators as serial predators, which is actually how it functions, like, in real life. Like, a lot of times when a person has finally been arrested or gone down for sexual assault or rape or anything like that, usually there's a history of it. There's, like, a history of accusations that just weren't taken seriously until then. Brock Turner, if I remember, had, like, 2 or 3 like, claims against him before the one that got him attention. Like that's, but this film presents it as if, like, she's like, oh, I go to a bar and I do this every week, and, like, it always happens, and it's always a different guy, and none of them are connected. And it's like, this stuff is very prevalent, but the film doesn't present it as anything other than just like, oh, this is just a thing that all men do. Even men who seem good, they all do it.
Right. Yeah, and that kind of plays into the sort of, like, subplot with Bo Burnham, where he's, like, a male feminist or whatever, and he, like, drinks the coffee with the spit in it, which in any other movie would have been hot, and here it was just kind of...
somehow they managed to make that not hot. That pissed me off.
Like, how? Fucking how? But anyway, and there's all of these, like, little... Oh my god, there's a fucking god-awful sequence at the center of the movie where it's like it's a montage of them, like, having fun together, and it's to Paris Hilton's song "Stars Are Blind." That's so quirky. Like, who remembers that song? That song was so funny.
God, it's so insult. The way this film uses other media in itself, like. Oh, haha, stars are blind, that's so quirky. Again, in a better film, I would be like, oh, is this kind of a self-aware comment on, like, what Paris Hilton is remembered for? Even though, like, what she's also mostly remembered for was essentially revenge porn being monetized. No.
Yeah.
No, it's just like, haha, remember that dumb bitch song? Hey,
yeah,
we're just gonna lift the song from Night of the Hunter now and put this in our movie.
Oh, God. Yeah. So, I don't know. It just really, 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 really terrible cinema. But in either case, yeah. And then his character is kind of, like, calling her a bitch, but, like, as, like, a funny, like, boyfriend way. Like, oh, you bitch.
Yeah.
But.
And that's supposed to be the red flag, but it, like, comes off so awkward and uncomfortable out of Bo Burnham's mouth, like the way he delivers it, that it just doesn't work.
Absolutely. And of course, kind of another like little bit of elephant in the room thing. There's that ending. So ostensibly, okay. There are several aspects to the ending that I think are very, like, evil even is like an understatement.
Yeah.
Because, so there's the ending, there's the part of the ending where she dresses up as kind of like a stripper, and she goes to this party of the rapist who killed her friend, who ostensibly killed her friend, the rapist who was part of the situation where they were gang raping her friend, and her friend committed suicide, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. So she has him in a room, all to herself, and they're kind of playing it up like she's going to kill him. And that doesn't happen. He just kind of gets free from his bonds and kills her. And it is really gruesome, and it is really horrible. It's not fun to view.
It's also framed like a rape.
Yes.
Like, that is how the film gets around. It's like, oh, we don't want to depict sexual violence, is they very cleverly make the actual murder of the main character framed as if it was a rape scene.
Yeah. Which is, like, why? Like, why put that in your fucking movie? Like, that, you know that is going to upset and, like, traumatize the exact audience that you're kind of trying to curb here. So, kind of nonsensical to me. But whatever. I mean, like, yeah, I found it really, really upsetting. Which is maybe a little bit knee-jerk and a little bit like, oh, that's the point. Are you triggered? But I think that makes it even more cynical. Yeah. But then there's this whole thing where, it was her plan to die because she left behind this note and all of this, trail of breadcrumbs for the police. And you know who always kind of comes down on the right side in situations of rape? You know who's always, like, first to, really jump up and, like, help rape survivors? The cops, right?
Yeah. You know what the police are going to absolutely do in a situation in which a bunch of rich, white, well-connected men who previously got away with, like, gang rape murdered somebody in a situation that 100% they have the ability to say what happened and can claim, and all of them would back each other up that it was self-defense and that it would be believable as self-defense because there's a long trail of evidence that this woman is obsessed with getting revenge on the people she views as perpetrators of violence against her best friend.
Yeah.
The police!
The police will always be there to help those in need. They definitely will not crumple up your fucking posthumous memento note and toss it in the shredder. Like, fuck off.
Just by the way, real quick, looked this up. Crime clearance rate in the United States of America in 2019 by type. Murder, 61%. So she's got roughly a little over a coin flip's chance of actually that plan working.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to imagine that for the crime of rape, the statistic is even more stark and disgusting.
And that's by the way, just for arrest, not even for successful conviction.
Good fucking lord. Yeah. So, just a dog shit ending to an evil movie.
And it, like, I wanna jump off of that too, because, like, that also ties into, like, a lot of, like, the reason why the film doesn't work is because it's so afraid to commit to anything it does, and in the process makes what it does more offensive.
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely.
The cartoon men, where, like, all of these men are predators. You can get away with that in a Miss 45 style film, because Miss 45 is already a heightened reality film. A lot of, like, rape revenge films, like, have a similar sort of thing, or they have one set perpetrator that is the target.
Right.
And the ones that have one set perpetrators usually tend to be more like grounded, firm, more of a heightened thriller. And the ones that have, like, a Miss 45 thing tend to be more exploitative. It's more, like, emotive, and you're supposed to be understanding that it's exaggerated for effect. But this film doesn't want to commit to being either. So it makes everything feel weird. And the thing of like the ending is because I was thinking about it and I was talking to friends about like how I could see how you could arrive at that ending, but you would need to have the first half of the film be completely different.
Oh, yeah.
Because the ending would make sense if her little scheme of pretending to get drunk and being picked up by men was actually being presented as like self-destructive self-harm, which the film kind of seems to be doing, but it never really portrays it as that. Like Carey Mulligan is just portrayed as like, oh, you know, I'm just such a millennial. I live at home with my parents. Oh, I work a job I hate and I don't want to talk to customers. I'm just like, this is just like a thing I do, but it's how I like reverse the power. And so like that becomes where it's like, she doesn't want those scenes to have it appear that Cassie is actually doing something dangerous and is actually like self-harming herself and is actually putting herself at risk of real violence being visited upon her. Because that would undermine like her girl power like yes queen boss message. But by robbing that like element of like her encounters with people as part of her revenge thing, you don't get the sense that she has like a death drive. Which is what would make that ending make more sense, is like if the point was that, oh, she doesn't think she can ever escape what happened to her friend, and so she would rather die in this like Hail Mary martyr complex attempt to maybe get some justice, like go out in a fiery explosion situation, then you have to show that that's her character up until that point. You can't just be like, and then she does this thing, which like she hasn't done for the rest of the film, because everything else she's done for the rest of the film, she's acted like fucking Hannibal Lecter. Like she's like, I'm making every decision exactly right, and I'm fully in control the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, the tone of the movie is just absolutely, like, does not take any of that shit into consideration until it just decides to. Super late in the runtime. Which is, you know, obviously pretty inconsistent and weird and frustrating and doesn't make a lot of sense, but fucking whatever. But yeah, so there's kind of also another thing to kind of touch on with this movie, which is there was a review. And Jay, I don't know if you want to talk about this specifically, because you were the one that kind of found this stuff.
Yes. First off, let me just say I am somewhat glad this hasn't become as much of a conversation as I thought it would, because I was really worried it would get picked up by like the right-wing blogosphere types and turned into a culture war thing, when it shouldn't be understood as a culture war thing. It should be understood as like an abuse of the culture war thing. Like, it should be understood for what it is, which is an extension of the fact that this movie is a blatant Hollywood recuperation of the culture war things so that they can make more money with minimal amounts of change to the exploitative system that they run.
Right.
By the way, quick sidebar before we go into this. Carey Mulligan did a little bit of research. Hasn't made a lot of statements about, any of the other major predators in Hollywood besides Weinstein after Weinstein got arrested.
Interesting. Okay.
Check Kevin Spacey, nothing. Bryan Singer, nothing. Lars von Trier, nothing. You know, I searched a couple names, couldn't find her saying anything. I did find her saying, though, that, you know, like, yeah, ever since Weinstein's been arrested, Hollywood's been great, actually. They're taking it really seriously, and there's no more sexual exploitation.
You know,
just really rehabilitating Hollywood's image for them for free. Well, not for free. Let's be honest.
Free.
So let's be honest here. This ain't for free.
No, yeah.
But yeah, so Carey Mulligan in an interview was like, "It's important to speak up. You know, we got to speak up and call out and do accountables." And so she called out this really misogynistic Variety review that, by the way, recently it came out, had been written about a year ago, and that previously the firm that is representing the movie had reached out to the review writer to get pull quotes from it because it was a good review of the movie and he had some good lines about it in it.
Yeah.
But a year later, she was like, yeah, I've been reading that Variety review, the one that everyone was talking about.
Specifically, she says, "Oh, it's because I'm such a weak person,
I'm so weak.
I can't believe I read a review. I'm so I'm so
it's like a self-harm thing. Yeah, it's like I just gotta see these bad things that people.
It's like psychological. It's like I have to, I just have to feel something, so I just go check my reviews, which is like shut the fuck up for one thing, on that front. But yeah, keep going.
Oh God, I have a great quote that I just also found in another article, but we'll come back to that. So she goes on and she says, oh fuck, I can't find the exact. Here it is. I'm a weak person. It wasn't some ego wounding thing. Like, I fully can see that Margaret Robbie is a goddess. But it feels like it was saying I wasn't hot enough to pull off this kind of ruse. And it drove me so crazy. Like, really? For this film, you're going to write something that is so transparent now in 2020? I just couldn't believe it. And in response, Variety is not only at the time of recording considering firing the writer, who's but also at the top of the review has now added editor's note. Variety sincerely apologizes to Carey Mulligan and regrets the insensitive language and insinuation in a review that minimized her daring performance.
Jay, can you do me a favor? Can you read the line, the offending line?
The line where he says she's not hot enough? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mulligan, a fine actress, seems a bit of an odd choice, as this admittedly many-layered apparent femme fatale. Margaret Robbie is a producer here, and one can perhaps easily imagine the role might have been intended for her. Whereas with this star, Cassie wears her pickup bait gear like bad drag. Even her long blonde hair seems a put-on. The flat American accent she delivers in her lowest voice register likewise seems a bit meta, though it's not clear whether the quote marks around this performance signify. Still, like everything else here, the turn is skillful, entertaining, and challenging. One, Carey Mulligan's performance in this film, not very good. I'm just gonna say it. It's not a great performance because she is in fact pretty miscast in the role.
Yes, I think that those critiques are far from being misogynist. Talking about her appearance or fucking whatever. Really have a lot to do with the staging of the film and the fact that for certain parts of the film she was wearing like wigs and shit and like how much of a put on like all of this the whole film's attitude was and her kind of inauthenticity in the face of that has everything to do with your skill as an actor. I understand how someone bringing up Margot Robbie's name in comparison to you is kind of like, oh, this maybe feels like a hot or not thing in your fucking twisted narcissistic fucking mind. But in actuality, the person reviewing this film is a 60-year-old gay man who does not give a fuck.
Who specifically said, like, in his response to this, he was talking about it, was like, yeah, I kind of assumed, especially since they, had approached me for pull quotes from this review, that it was understood that I was talking about, like, Margaret Robbie's, like, career thus far and how this character is written like a lot of characters Margaret Robbie has played, because there's even a scene where she wears a wig that looks like the fucking Harley Quinn wig.
It's literally like it was a role that was practically written for Margot Robbie.
Because Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn, what's her name on Orange is the New Black? Like all of these things, like Margaret Robbie's character has pretty consistently played or is pretty consistently known like for her roles where she plays a woman who seems very cheery and positive and kind of quirky, but is actually like super fucked up by trauma. Like that is Margaret Robbie's like bread and butter. And that is clearly what this character seems to be roughly constructed to be like. And Carey Mulligan does not convey that she just conveys it as the first layer of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thus, it is fair to say that it comes off like bad drag, not because, you look ugly, but because bad drag is when somebody's performance is very obviously false.
Yeah, and it's like, what, like, Carey Mulligan she was, what, like, the girlfriend in Drive, she has been in, like, some fucking Coen Brothers shit, she was in Pride and Prejudice, like, you've never played a character like this before, and it's like your first fucking attempt, and like not everybody's, it's just so it's so frustrating on those fronts. But it's also just like, not only that, but you are here. Let me actually just Carey Mulligan net worth. Let's just check on that. Cool, $16 million. So a $16 million actress, a millionaire, who has thrown a 60-year-old writer's fucking career into disarray and possibly has destroyed it off the back of a completely like misinterpreted and oversensitive fucking reaction to a perfectly valid criticism of her performance and presentation in this movie. This sets such an amazing precedent. Yeah, real girl boss shit, man. Like, good work. You really fucking showed him.
It really is like, it's sad that even within the last year, this isn't the most cynical example of this stuff. The most cynical example was when the literal, like, president of Disney tried to say that Martin Scorsese was racist for saying that Marvel movies aren't good.
I, like, seriously, like, the Disneyfication of, like, all of this, like, language and the sort of, like, the sort of, like, politically conscious, blah, and it's, like, this is fucking evil. like, no, this, like, you're literally co-opting shit that is supposed to help the poor and, like, underrepresented minorities and people who are being destroyed and fucking ruined by the system. There is still, like, untold genocide and, like, slavery and nightmarish shit that is fucking happening in America still. But because Disney profits off of that shit, they have to minimize, kind of the importance and the effect of those by saying that you're racist if you don't like Ryan Coogler's big superhero movie, which is...
Here's the
so
exact... Not even... That's the thing, is, like, it's not even like Scorsese singled out Black Panther. Scorsese just said, I don't like Marvel movies. They strike me more as roller coasters, which is basically just saying they strike me more as, like, attractions rather than, like, cinema. Like, that's not what I would consider a film. And Bob Iger, CEO of a media company that is A, the biggest in the world, and B, roughly worth $130 billion, responded to that with, if they want to bitch about movies, it's certainly their right. Are you telling me that Ryan Coogler making Black Panther is doing something that somehow or another is less than anything Marty Scorsese or Francis Ford Coppola have ever done on any one of their movies? Come on. Which is an insane statement to make, because it's like Martin Scorsese, like, probably wouldn't have anything bad to say about Ryan Coogler's, like, filmography outside of Marvel, because Ryan Coogler makes films that are very clearly of the same genre that, like, Scorsese likes to make.
Yeah.
And two,
absolutely.
And two, Martin Scorsese literally, like, with his own money, is, like, running film preservation programs to help boost, celebrate, and preserve cinema from around the world.
Yeah, like, he's literally doing so fucking much.
Actual marginalized communities whose films would probably just never be seen in the West, or very easily could get lost when we inevitably invade their country. Like, he is actually doing work around stuff like that with his own money, and a dude who runs a company that will literally just take over movie theater chains and be like, you're not allowed to show films that won't make us $5 extra this month, is being like, anyway, like you're trying to do this because what you're saying might infringe my brand. And this is like this shit with Carey Mulligan and in a review feels very much so like they were like, we need to drum up some press for this film. We need to drum up some sort of misogynistic conflict. And maybe Promising Young Woman wasn't getting enough like negative comments on 4chan or whatever. So they were just like, find a review that says something that we can misconstrue as sexist.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, a very kind of cynical controversy grabbing thing that is really, really frustrating and doesn't even fucking like bring the conversation forward at all. It's literally just kind of splitting hairs over bullshit. And it's obviously, I don't know, it's really obvious at a certain point how kind of fake it is.
And like, let's be clear here about something. Carey Mulligan, the reason I brought up earlier her doing this labor, this emotional labor for Hollywood of kind of helping recuperate their image in the public eye and like downplaying and being like, yeah, it really was just Weinstein. And now, there's just not a problem of it. Hollywood absolutely still chews women up and spits them out and uses them and judges them and reviews them and defines their value by their appearance and whether or not audiences will want to fuck them.
Yeah, that shit hasn't gone away.
But she will absolutely take one mostly glowing review that contains a small line critiquing her performance as miscast and seems kind of like a bad put on and ironic, has quotes around it. And she will literally present this as if this is where misogyny in the film industry is coming from. Is the fifth paragraph in a glowing review for your fucking garbage movie.
And I mean, like, even us talking about it feels really fucking frustrating because that's like the whole point. It's like, get some static out there, get some buzz,
get people talking about everything we're doing with our movie.
Yeah. But
just the cynical manipulation of things that people have spent a decade plus trying to get into the public conversation and trying to get addressed and trying to like take seriously, only for it to just immediately be recuperated and used as a way to brand films that are being built on the back of the same things that they always were built on.
Yeah.
Yep. Here, insert that Rosaria Dawson interview. Or no, Rose McGowan interview where she just fucking like straight up says like, these people who are trying to lead the Me Too movement as Time's Up are just are 100% guilty and involved in all this stuff and are trying to cover it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely there's kind of a sort of like Mean Girls flavor to this specific type of like fakery and kind of manufactured really manufactured consent, which is a funny way to apply that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not fucking cool. Hey, Carey Mulligan, if you want to call us out, if you want to, if you want to get mad at us,
we're trans, so we win. We got the higher DPS here.
That's what I.
Hey, you want to play this game? You want to go toe to toe in the ring?
Yeah, they call it a trap card for a reason, bitch. God. So put that in your fucking pipe and smoke it. But yeah, so we really had a lot of energy to kind of expel on this one.
Yeah,
it's.
I feel like I've barely even scratched the surface of things in this film that annoyed me. Oh, so, okay.
Yeah,
actually,
for real.
Let's go back to like some of the directorial choices that pissed me off. Opening your film with an ironic like, oh, what if we did the male gaze but on guys dancing. Wouldn't that be so crazy? And doing it,
bro,
that pissed me off because it should have been hot. Another thing that this film is you should have if you're gonna do the ironic male gaze on men, I should want to fuck those men.
Exactly.
But it didn't. And it just looked awkward and uncomfortable because she didn't know what the fuck she was doing.
They're so unfuckable. Did you not see the video for Charlie XCX's Boys?
Thank you. There's so much stuff you could have just stolen from it if your point was we're gonna make the first few shots of this man triggered men. No, because they're not gonna fucking notice that that's what you're doing because you're bad at it and you don't know how to actually do it.
Well, that's literally also a part of male presentation is this whole thing of just they dress themselves down and they try to look like shit because they don't want people to look at them because they're fucking afraid of that. Because they know what they do and blah, yada, yada, yada. So, I don't know, to kind of not be cognizant of that or to kind of look at this. Isn't it so disarming to turn the gaze on people who are dressed in their fucking work shirt and khakis? And it's you're really not getting the point of how society is structured and how this shit functions. If that's the takeaway that you have.
Just, no, it's such a just not getting the point. such a not getting the point and not executing it well. And then if that annoyed me, and then immediately after that I had to pause the film, and this is 5 minutes in, I was already sick of this, is the first shot we get of Cassie, the main character, and she's on a intersection of chairs, so it looks kind of like a cross, literally pretending to be drunk, doing the Jesus crucifixion pose. And I was are you fucking kidding me? The first shot in your film, famously Jesus' story starting with his crucifixion. What?
Go off, Evangelion.
Yeah. That was another quote I had pulled up was we often see Cassie in positions that are Christ-like. In the first shot of her, she has her arms spread like a cross, and the image repeats itself a few times in the film. Can you talk about that biblical imagery? Absolutely. It's one of the things that early on was on my mind, that Cassie is an avenging angel, and it's sort of biblical without it sounding overblown. It has the simplicity, actually, I hope, of a parable or a biblical story, and a sort of morality tale we were told growing up. Certainly a kind of journey in threes that you get in these stories. So for me, it was important that avenging angel was never overtly stated, but always implied. So the first time we see her, she's sort of splayed out and kind of drunk, but it is almost like a crucifixion. For me, there's no more position more powerful and vulnerable than that. It's got two things Cassie has: power and vulnerability. Again, she doesn't have that. I just feel that giving her that strength in the beginning made sense. And then going through it, we got halos and wings and all sort of little things behind her. That's why so much filmmaking is a unique art form, really. That was the line where I was like, do you understand your genre of your medium of choice? You just discovered, guys, you can make things in movies look like things from other things.
Dude, you can use images to explain and get across concepts. I'm learning
with all the subtlety of a Friends episode that ends with them all doing the Last Supper pose. Fucking Christ.
It's, yet another really cynical. It's just baiting for some fucking I don't know, video essay asshole. Says this as a video essay asshole, but some video essay prick to talk about. Oh, did you notice 5 things you didn't notice about Promising Young Woman? It's and it's just so artless and it's so joyless. And yeah, just a lot of shit like that.
It's funny you say that. Carey Mulligan says not to miss this detail in Promising Young Woman. My character makes up different characters, Mulligan explains. She goes out in totally different personas, and makeup is a really important thing. We went from really vast extremes, sort of a proper bodycon outfit and scraped back hair, like a Kardashian look, which was so much fun. And then she plays this sort of young, vulnerable, almost teenage girl. Just like, don't miss this incredible detail. When my character is dressed as different people, she's pretending to be different people.
Don't miss this incredible detail. Me doing my job.
Yeah, don't miss this incredible detail. Acting. Oh, the teeny tiny detail that remains consistent is that she had this amazing manicure where each finger was painted a different color of pastel.
Wow, that's an amazing detail.
That's such an amazing detail, yeah.
I'm glad that I noticed that. I think that's... I
noticed her manicure in one scene, and I was like, yeah, bitches who act like this do be having manicures like that.
Basically, there are 1,000 better rape revenge movies that you can be out there watching. And this one is, frankly, one of the most evil things I've ever seen in my life.
I had talked to it with my friend Lonnie, and I wish I could remember what it was offhand, but they were telling me about, because like they've been really into watching like 70s exploitation films and whatnot, and they were telling me about like, yeah, there's like movies I've watched that like were definitely made by actual misogynists that still managed to tell the same sort of story better. Just because
real.
They end up in the process giving the women like actual senses of autonomy in the film and actual senses of like who they are, and not just this like gross gazy thing where it's like, here's my fantasy of a rape revenge movie that doesn't have any violence against it because violence in movies is bad. It's
just such a like a stunted conversation about like violence and like the nature of violence and all of this fucking shit. Because you kind of, obviously you have to talk about it. You don't have to depict it, obviously. That's, not a necessary aspect of it necessarily. But you do have to talk about it in a way that's like complex and in a way that is, respectful.
I will say 2009's Catalin Varga by, I think Peter Strickland is his name, the same guy who did In Fabric and Burbian. That is a rape revenge film that is not particularly violent and also does not depict the rape, because the film essentially starts 10 years after it. And it's, I would say that it is a film that is essentially about the long-term bomb of like that kind of trauma and like how it can just go off years down the line. Because essentially what the inciting incident of the film is that the main character's husband finds out that their child isn't his because their child is the product of the rape. And so she sets out with her child to hunt down that man.
Fuck yeah.
And there's an incredible scene where it's one of the most like stressful scenes I've seen in a film in like the past month, because I watched it this last month, where it's her, one of her rapists, and his wife, whom he married like, years later, sitting in a boat, and he doesn't recognize her, and they're talking, and then she just starts recounting this incident that is the incident of like the rape, and it's the first time that it's really discussed in the film. And as she's discussing it, you see the wife having this very like sympathetic, like, oh my God, that's horrible response. And the husband just getting like more and more uncomfortable as he realizes what she's describing.
Yeah.
And it, like, anytime it cuts back to her describing it, it's like steady cam shot, but the boat is like spinning more and more out of control as she's doing it. Such a stressful scene. And it's like, it plays at the same sort of themes that this film does, but like in a much more interesting way, even right down to like the woman being shown as like much more self-destructively minded and much more martyr complex minded, because to her, the one thing of stability she has carved out from this, she has now lost because of this thing that happened 10 years ago.
Yeah. That sounds a lot more subtle.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, basically that exact scene happens in Promising Young Woman, sort of. It kind of happens within the context of the ending that I was talking about before, where she kind of has the guy tied up on the bed.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, do you remember when you, like, raped my friend? She's dead now."
Yeah. I'm gonna carve her name into you. Nina, that's it. I finally remembered the character's name.
Yeah, we don't meet her, so it's not like,
It's
whatever.
I remember I was talking to someone too while I was watching it, because in that scene she talks about how brilliant and smart her friend is and how she would have gone on to do so much science and all of these cool things, and how she was such a promising young woman. And I was talking to my friend and is like, man, it's a good thing that her friend is like fucking Dr. House, like a child prodigy. Otherwise it wouldn't be tragic what happened to her. Like seems to be the implication, like because it's like the way they talk about her friend is just like, it's entirely just in like, oh, she would have contributed so much to the world, and it's like, that's not like, yeah, that's also makes it tragic, but like that is what you were giving the audience, is like, this is how you know that it's sad that she died.
She would have contributed so much capital.
Yeah. Oh,
she would have the GDP with her still alive. Can you imagine?
She could have stopped coronavirus. I'm just saying.
Well, she could have also been Hitler.
Oh.
So there's two sides to every coin.
We don't. Hey, you know what, Cassie? We don't know what your friend could have done. Maybe she could have killed you. Think about it.
All right, whatever. Point being, not a very well thought out, or rather, kind of a movie that thinks it's way fucking smarter than it actually is.
Yeah.
Which it shouldn't be the case. It should be that, like, like, rape revenge thrillers by women are usually fucking great. And women should be, like, at the front of the fucking line to talk about that shit. In particular in cases where the, like, main character is a woman. Because Lord knows we have, like, a lot of movies by dudes about this shit, which is, complicated, obviously. But, it comes right back to capitalism ruining absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, it's fucking, it sucks. It sucks to see this shit get reconstituted back into the structures that create it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sucks to see it getting lauded. Like, people seem to, it's getting a lot of attention. It's getting a lot of, positivity generated toward it on Letterboxd, and other places. And, it's frustrating to see people who otherwise, I think, kind of should fucking know better. Just kind of blindly getting behind it. But I don't know. That's just me. It's all just a matter of opinion,
And I obviously, if you get something out of this film, that's fine. There are things that I could like. I can see that are appreciative of it, but I do think it is worthwhile to still at least be critical of the role it is coming to fill, and the way it is heralding a new approach to making cinema harder to criticize.
Yeah. To putting critics' livelihoods in deep and extreme danger, and creating kind of a very difficult boundary, because it's funny. It's funny that it's kind of like a concern of, like, boundaries almost, with regard to the fucking rape revenge feature, where a millionaire actress has to kind of endanger a critic, which I feel like there's kind of an obvious precedent that actresses and people who work on these films should maybe shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a power dynamic here at play. It's not the one that they're trying to make you think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, completely forgot Laverne Cox is in this film. They kind of just drop her until the very end. Feels really weird. Yeah. Feels really weird to cast her in a role that is essentially a sassy black friend to Carey Mulligan's main character. A character who then immediately proceeds to just not have any emotional arc.
Yeah.
Like, we don't...
Literally a movie...
Does she even know that her friend has been missing at the end? Yeah, what's going on in that scene? Like, she just disappears from the movie once she's no longer needed to the plot. And that feels like... It feels really weird to have Laverne Cox cast in that kind of role in a film, because it feels real fraught.
It's that, and it's so unchallenging too for someone like her, and it's so like it's really gratuitous and pointless. Yeah, her characterization was really, really dark. Just kind of the character for people who like to hear a character go girl,
yeah,
over and over again, which is similarly kind of demeaning and demoralizing.
I will say it was nice to see Alison Brie once again doing her role of playing just a bitch. Like she's done. I feel like I've seen her in like 5 films post Community where like she's like, oh, I need to like break against typecasting myself as like the mousy little like easily like overwhelmed like girl, like kind of naive girl, and so she just plays like a bitch in like a bunch of films, and I really like it because she's really good at it.
Oh yeah, no, she's fantastic.
Her line delivery on the like, hey, can I make like one last request? Like she's gonna ask something politely and then just like very curtly, never fucking contact me again. Incredible line delivery.
Oh god, for her to play like kind of a, you know, by the standards of the narrative, but kind of like a shitty person is, yeah, it's really funny.
It is the thing of like, it is not much like how we always say with Marvel. It's not the matter of whether or not you like Marvel movies. It is whether or not you can be set aside your personal taste or distaste for them to be critical of the ways they are being cynically deployed to further the consumption as political identity model that all of these companies are trying to push, because they want you to think that buying a product is the same thing as having convictions.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, I boycotted something. That's like a protest, right?
I went and saw this movie because the right people were mad about it.
Yeah.
Or I didn't go and see this
forum war.
Yeah, because of a literal forum war. Like, come on, don't make your art don't make your art watching decisions based on like who gets mad or not if you go and see it.
For fucking real. Like, that's how you get fucking manipulated. And it's like, it's so weird to be kind of an elder millennial who went through that phase.
Yeah.
And like, kind of, you know, engaged with all this kind of like forum war type shit or whatever. To see other people falling into it on like a fucking enormous scale through like Reddit and Twitter and everything is interesting. It's certainly interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like we've all been there. I always said Half-Life 2 was a hallway simulator because it made people I didn't like pissed off. That's it. But the difference is I didn't pretend that there was anything political to it. I was just being an asshole. Like,
yeah, it's not a political identity. It's just being a contrarian. Just own up to that at least.
And it is a thing where it's like, ultimately, you should all be critical of this stuff because it takes discussions about the place of marginalized creators or voices and perspectives that we don't see much. And then it just kind of shuffles around the same people who are already at the top of it and like maybe swaps one or two of them out for like their friend.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, fantastic, a fucking Oxford grad who, like, thrived on fucking nepotism and produced a bunch of bullshit, is now talentlessly fucking throwing her hat in the ring to, you know, try to make her statement movies. Great. Fucking thank you so much. We really needed that. We really need that from some fucking white woman.
Yeah, right.
Who's just wildly rich beyond my fucking imagination.
And it was in The Danish Girl, which is very funny. Like, but
yeah, no, that's but truly just a radioactive influence on society.
Every time you sort of see that sort of argument, and you almost get pulled into like, well, I got to see this movie because misogynists don't like it, or I got to see this movie because racists are mad about it, or whatever. Do yourself a favor and seek out small art made by whatever community you're thinking of there, and buy it.
Yeah.
Because if that is ultimately your goal, those $9 that you are spending will actually go directly to them. It will not go to fucking it will not go to fucking Bob Iger's bank account. All right? It will actually go straight to the people who actually want and need that money. And you'll get something probably really good out of it. And, you can still go see these movies. You can still like them, whatever. But if you're engaging with it in this way, please go a step further. Take the time to actually find work that is smaller, that you seeing can actually make a difference of. And it doesn't even have to be like, like Joe Schmo, like nobody work. Like you can go see The Fits. The Fits is great. It's a small film. Even just seeing that will probably contribute more directly to that person than seeing something like Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, fucking God, The Fits, fucking Atlantics, fucking like God, there's just there's so much.
We talked about House of Hummingbird a lot, but House of Hummingbird, another great female, like also a great film led by a female director, where your support of it probably is going to matter a lot more because it isn't backed by huge studios with a ton of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And think of it. I don't know. People maybe kind of bristle at. I'm not going to try to get into people's heads. I don't know why people don't seek out art film in the way that they, I feel, should. But I feel like when you see a movie that is actually good, and like when I mean actually good, I mean like Disney has not fucking touched it.
Yeah.
It's like when you eat like a carrot for the first time in a while, and your body's just like, oh fuck, I needed those vitamins. Holy shit! Like. That is like that effect is really, really strong in movies that are actually going to kind of expand your horizons and also financially go directly toward helping someone, helping their community, and that kind of shit. Miss Juneteenth, another example. Yeah. Great fucking movie. Way fucking like leagues fucking better than this shit.
And you supporting it, even just watching it on a rental service or streaming it probably will matter more, because it's like, if it's not a film that's getting this massive attention, those things actually matter a little bit more. And you don't even have to keep yourself to just films. You can go music. Bandcamp is a great way to go directly support artists who are doing interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Gumroad is a great way to support artists who are doing interesting stuff. Itch.io is a great way to support artists who are doing interesting stuff. None of this is to be like in the annoying, like, give your money to X group, just go consume without thinking. But it is to say that, like, if you are seeking art made by people of XYZ community, there are better places to look than whatever fucking $1 billion project is being pushed right now.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, exactly. And the discussion really, like, the whole thing of like, oh, seek out art from marginalized communities and from horror creators. Like, the discussion doesn't end there. The discussion fucking starts there. And like, I would love to just kind of have my little fun movie club podcast where we talk about just things that are in that world. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even want to have to watch these fucking dog shit, $10 million projects. Like, it does absolutely nothing for me. So yeah, we have to really kind of like that's the beginning of where your thinking has to be. Is just like, if you want to hear this story, hear it from people who are qualified to fucking tell it, first and foremost, and not from craven Hollywood lunatics who are hell-bent on just infecting you with their insane rich person cynicism, so that they can take advantage of you better.
Anyway, congratulations to Emerald Fennell and Carey Mulligan on your 4 Golden Globe nominations.
Gonna sweep it. Let's sweep it, y'all. Ladies, this one's for the ladies. Don't the ladies deserve a dub?
Literally was just announced yesterday. And I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta see how many nominations they got. Because of fucking course they got nominations.
Oh, fucking whatever. People throw out their Golden Globes all the time. Yeah. I think that's promising, young woman, to kind of make up for a lot of shorter episodes.
Here's our extremely long. We were like, oh, maybe we'll do a double episode for this one, and then I was like, we're gonna have so much to talk about with this fucking movie.
Oh yeah, no, there's just so much ground to cover. There's so much shit. But yeah, thank you, Emerald Fennell, for cursing my life, for being my enemy until the moment I'm dead in the ground. And yeah, thank you to. It's the fucking production company. Who put this shit out?
It's Lucky Chap, but Focus Films is the ones who distributed it. Lucky
Focus.
Chap, I think Lucky Chap is Margaret Robbie's production company.
I see.
Well, they're the ones who also did Birds of Prey, and apparently Greta Gerwig's Barbie film that's coming out.
I'll watch that.
They did also do I, Tonya, which I thought was okay.
I kind of hated I, Tonya. I, Tonya, I had kind of similar problems with. It kind of feels like it was getting off on
the exploitation. I can see that
exploitation.
I think that's totally fair.
That's perhaps a conversation for another day. In Birds of Prey was okay. I mean, it was fucking junk food. Who cares? Not worth talking about.
We've talked about that one enough.
Yeah, exactly. For real. Go watch our Did we have a Birds of Prey episode?
We did. Because we saw it in theaters together. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah. That's right. Back in the before times.
Birds of Prey. Let me double check this. Yeah, we did it. It was a double feature. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, that's fucking right. Oh, that was like right at the verge of. Oh, man.
Right on that edge. 11 months ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, go check out our Birds of Prey and our Sonic the Hedgehog episode. Why not? And yeah, thanks for joining us. This sure was a ride.
Yeah.
What the hell's our fucking? So we have a patron exclusive show for our Patreon subscribers. It's called Film Critic Throws It Back, and we talk about movies from bygone eras, from any year. JD, remember what the fucking poll was?
Yes. It was sibling directors. It's such a long concept, but it's like it was sibling directors, not premiere, like debut,
like their
film.
debut,
yeah. Which was entirely just like I forgot how we got on it, but I basically looked into it and I was like, there's actually like a decent handful of sibling directors who have debut films that are interesting to talk about. So that is what it is, and I believe Bound won.
Oh my god! I actually just rewatched Bound.
I heard, yeah. I saw you guys just rewatch. I actually saw that you rewatched it, and it reminded me to check the poll. And I saw that Bound had won, so I was like, "Oh, that must have been why they watched it. Was because it won the poll." But no, weird coincidence. It did just win. It won the poll, and you guys also watched it.
I'm really excited for that. We can record that whenever, I guess. Because
yeah, I
kind of wanted I kind of wanted Blood Simple to win secretly because I think Blood Simple is a fucking heater, and I want to show it to as many people as possible. But Bound similarly is an absolute fucking heater. So I'm very excited for that episode.
I will also say I also watched not Dead Hook in a Truck. I watched the Soka Sisters, who's on our list. Their film that they're known for, American Mary, because I saw a few reviews talking about this film referencing it, and it's very uneven, but it's uneven in a way that's more enjoyable. and is also a rape revenge film.
Oh, I see.
And a thing that I find really interesting about the film is that it uses underground surgery within the body modification community as like a metaphor for sex work.
Oh, weird.
Like it took me a bit of getting. It's basically the main character just like because she goes to try out to work at like a strip club because she needs just like another job because she's behind on bills and it's like affecting her medical school life.
Uh-huh.
And then what happens is she ends up performing like an illegal surgery on like this guy that the mob boss who runs the strip club needs help with. And so it becomes this thing where she starts getting clients who want her to do extreme body mods for them because they heard that she'll do like illegal underground surgery stuff. And then because she starts getting all of this under the table money from it, the people at her school start thinking that she's doing sex work. And it just very quickly becomes like very clear that like, oh, that's the metaphor they're going for here, is that this is a metaphor for like the extreme underground, the extreme underground industries that women sometimes have to work in order to survive and the kind of violence that it leads them open to because of it.
That sounds
very, very interesting
really
film.
good.
It's got, like I said, it's got some pacing issues. It's kind of sloppy in some ways. It is an exploitation film made by two twin sisters who like definitely are super into like straight to DVD horror stuff. But it was definitely a more compelling film than Promising Young Woman.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Also, don't forget, if you haven't joined our Discord, we got a Discord. Link will be down below. Patrons have their own little private chat rooms in it as well. But it's still a fun little space to hang out. We talk about films. We got channels for Pictures of Your Cat, channels for talking about games, and also channels for talking about... I'm pointing at you. What's the other thing we do?
Streaming.
Streaming. We got a channel to announce our streams.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm streaming Tuesday and Friday. Yeah, and I'm a little VTuber. I'm a little rabbit. I'm a rabbit cartoon. Jay, when are you streaming?
I stream currently Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. And I guess this will be old by the time it's up, but I'm going to be playing the Dexter game at some point.
Cool. Fuck yeah. Yeah, stoked for that. That's going to be fun. So come hang out on our streams. They're really fun. I've been playing Hades on Tuesday. Come hang out on all fronts. And yeah, thanks again for joining. My name is Brew.
My name is Jay Bearhat.
Bye.
Bye.